I have 5 questions and answers.
Yeah.
Okay, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nellie, very much for this nice introduction. Nice to be here and sharing how we work on the Capstone assignments. How do I change? I have to use this one. Yeah. First, a little bit of background. As introduced, we come from Kristianstad University in southern Sweden. And here we can see a nice picture of our campus back home. A few years ago, we got a new pedagogical profile, which is partly focused on having program level examinations on all programs, no matter business administration, as in our case, or nursing or education. And this idea is nothing new. We can find research on this all over the world. They're called slightly different. Some call them summative assignments, comprehensive examinations, exit examinations, or the term capstone assignments, which is what we choose to use in our study. The idea is that we want to somehow evaluate the overall student learning outcomes by having a final assignment that summarizes and forces the students to use their knowledge from previous courses. Here it's important, in comparison to a dissertation, this is more practical oriented. And the idea is to try to bridge the gap between academic learning and what the students will do once they graduate. Reviewing the literature on this, we can see that there are research on how these assignments, what kind of skills these fosters and how they can be part of the education system, but there are quite limited research on how it influences the students' work readiness and self-efficacy. And we find that these are 2 important concepts in this setting. So in our study, we focus on then work readiness, how ready they are for what comes after education, but also how they perceive their or how their own belief in their ability to actually do what they're supposed to do. And we also find that we have a relevant context. We study this in the business program context, and here capstone assignments are still quite new. Yes. Yeah, for our study we have 2 different research questions. The first is how can these capstone assignments in dissertation education be designed using different pedagogical foundations such as experiential learning and design thinking. And we also have a second research question, and we wonder, okay, so these capstone assignments, why do they actually enhance the students' perceived work readiness? In order to address this research question, we conduct a case study based on the research program at Kristianstad University, and more specifically are 2 capstone assignments for the specialization in accounting and auditing and in international marketing that has been implemented developed as program level examinations. And to address the first research question regarding the design, we have used various sources in form of documents, but also classroom teaching meetings observations. And to address the second research question, why this enhance the students' self-efficacy and readiness, use a qualitative questionnaire focusing on the students' perception of the capstone assignments, and also 4 focus groups where we interview a total of 17 students. And the empirical material was then analyzed through qualitative content analysis. Yes. A few words about how we designed our capstone assignments. We use similar but still different pedagogical ideas for the specialization in accounting and auditing. And the format rests on experiential learning, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It's the idea of learning through experience, but also by doing and reflecting on what you're doing. That was the basic idea when we designed the assignment. For specialization in international marketing, we requested a design on design thinking, which is of course connected to experiential learning, but still have a higher emphasis on innovation and creativity, and want to put more emphasis on exploring and reframing problems.
Yeah, and the Capstone assignments within the specialization of accounting and auditing, we focus on engaging students in a realistic and professionally relevant task. So where they get the opportunity to apply the theoretical knowledge in more practical scenarios, and also get experience of the complexity of professional roles within accounting and auditing. This was done through a comprehensive case that we developed together with an audit firm. The Capstone assignment have 3 parts. So in the first part, the student take on the role as accounting consultants and review and analyze annual report and try to find adjustments, both to get a high result and a low result. And then in the second part, they shift their role and they become the auditors of this annual report, and also audit the management of the company. And in the last part, they prepare a corporate income tax return based on the previous done. This was designed, so it was quite some courses ago that they had accounting team. So we had a few recap lectures before, and then we had a case introduction day where we invite the audience, and they get to present the case and students get to ask the questions. They solved the case in groups of 3 students in order to create realistic work settings and sort of work team. And after the case introduction day, it was a lot of group work on their own, but we also had supervision that was kind of simulating supervision from a senior colleague, but they could ask questions and also get feedback on the thoughts so far in the process. After they submitted the case solution, they also get to prepare a presentation of the second part, the auditing task. And this presentation should be directed to the audit client, so they should fill the scenario and come to the client and present findings. And also here we invited the audit firm to do this.
And then a few words on what we did on the specialization in international marketing. Here the setup was different. The assignment consisted of 2 distinct parts. In the first part, part A, the students were asked to review their knowledge and skills and judgments from previous courses and what they have learned so far during their 3-year education. And this was in the last course before the dissertation course. We supported them with some interactive workshops where they could work in groups on retaining the knowledge, looking through course syllabuses and remembering, well, what have we really learned in our education. And we combined that with a field visit to a company where they got to meet the human resource managers to discuss, well, what are important competences and what are important skills for newly graduates and economists. So that was part A. And then in part B, we used a real-life case where a company had a complex WIC problem, and the students were asked to solve this problem for them. And the idea was, well, now you have identified what kind of competences do you have. Let's use these competences to solve the case. So that was the basic idea. And here we supported them with a DT-inspired workshop. There was a Q&A with the company. And in the end, similar to what you were doing, there was a final pitch where we invited representatives from the company to come and listen to the students' solutions. A few more words about, well, what is a DT-inspired workshop. And here you can see some pictures from the workshop that we had. As design thinking, it's all about divergent and convergent thinking, but also about promoting exploration and discussion about really important problems. We tried to navigate this and help the students by having a session that where only were supposed to focus on the problem So no solutions in this setting. And we went through typical 4 phases of design thinking, where they got to discover the problem by brainstorming what kind of problems can we see that these companies have. We intentionally asked the company to be very wide in presenting their current challenges, allowing the students to be the one identifying specific problems. After brainstorm, they continued to define these problems, discussing the problems, sharing them with other students, and then continue developing them by grouping them into different themes, see, well, what kind of categories do we find here? And in the end of this session, the delivery here was the top 3 problems. So in this way, instead of letting the students start the work by themselves, we know that students are running for solutions, they're writing up the report. We force them to stay in the problem phase for this duration of this workshop.
Yeah, and the result, they show that students expressed diverse competence skills from the Capstone assignments. Frequently, they highlight the ability to problem solving, critical thinking, presentation skills, and ability to collaborate. However, students also stress that the assignments made them better, more solutions-oriented, more creative, and better at time management. And when it comes to the result regarding the self-efficacy, we can see that the Capstone assignments with a few exceptions, it enhances their self-efficacy. And if we answer the question of why do this enhance, we could see 5 themes. So it helped the student to be more with a self-awareness, reflection, and they get to see the strengths and weaknesses, and also their own knowledge development, and realize that I can learn, and ability to learn. We could also see that the assignment works as a form of evidence of learning, where they get to see a reminder of what they actually knew and information, knowledge. We can also see that the assignment created motivation and drive, and that they actually knew more than they expected before, kind of increasing their self-confidence, and that they felt that, okay, someone believed in me, so I can actually do this. Another theme was the social benchmarking, where they get to compare their knowledge, but also their drive and ambitions with other students, and thereby enhancing their self-efficacy. And in some cases, there were also the opposite feeling, of course. And finally, we could also see that the assignment helped them enhance their self-efficacy for the development, that they get to try out all this knowledge together and use it, and also identify and ask new skills.
Yeah. As we said, we were also curious on how these kinds of assignments affects their perception of work-readiness. And likewise, as self-efficacy, almost everyone expressed that they felt more work-ready after an assignment like this. But more interesting, perhaps, is, well, how come? What is important in this assignment? What is it that creates this feeling? And we could identify that one important feature was that it was a very professional, relevant assignment. That it allowed the student to feel like, well, this is for real. I can try out the role either as an accountant and auditors, or as a marketing consultant in the other case. It was also an assignment that demanded a lot of independence by the students. They were taking responsibility, and they had to stand on their own feet to identify problems or to do the audit. And this helped them to feel ready for work, because they had tried this in this safe setting before. Many also felt, that they were challenged by the assignment. And it was quite of a high stakes situation. So at least our students felt that it was a high stake, and it was quite a pressure situation. And since they survived this afterwards, they felt, well, it was a high stake, and I did deliver, so they felt. They also had very nice reflections on the importance of lifelong learning. This assignment helped them to realize, well, perhaps I don't know everything today. I have certain gaps, but I will continue to learn. And the dialogue with the external guests and collaborators also made them realize that I don't have to know everything. Life is about the lifelong learning. And finally, we could identify that the assignment felt very future-oriented for the students. The tasks that we have identified help them to feel desire and motivation to continue to move from students to professionals, as it was this realistic case settings. So there were many factors in how the assignment was designed that help us to prepare our students for the next step. And some concluding remarks. Our experience and our study show that these kind of capstone assignments are very effective in fostering both self-efficacy, but also our students' work readiness. And also it increases our understanding not only about, well, this is what happens, but also why these capstone assignments are so important. And I think this can be both a theoretical contribution, but hopefully also some practical guidance for educators now implementing these kinds of capstone assignments. We can also see that they are especially good as a creative way to fostering soft skills in parallel to perhaps more hard skills of subject knowledge that we test perhaps more in the formal final dissertation. So this complements this in a very nice way, emphasizing more of the soft skills and the competencies in students.
Yeah, if we should then compare the two capstone assignments that we have, we can see that the experience of actually doing a capstone assignment seems to largely overshadow the difference in the design. They have quite similar experience of the two designs. However, there are some differences. We can see that in the accounting and auditing specialization, they get to feel work readiness through the trying out the role activities more emphasized there. And in the international marketing, the students to a higher degree raise the motivation and drive. So it could be due to the design thinking that's very personal based design. The different assignments, we have the accounting and auditing is more group work, where the students actually get to compare through the social benchmarking, which helps enhance self-efficacy, but also in some cases the opposite, of course. So something to consider. And the international marketing instead was more individual, which give more room for the self-awareness, the reflection part, and in that way consider self-efficacy. And last, we could also talk a little bit about the level of difficulty. So the assignment of the accounting and auditing, students perceive as more difficult, and for some students they perceive it as too difficult, which negatively influenced their self-efficacy. But many also raised that this was really a challenge, and by that it gave them the opportunity to actually develop, so thereby enhancing their self-efficacy. And the opportunity to develop was not something that was really emphasized in the international marketing, so perhaps the students perceive that their assignment to be a little bit too easy, perhaps. And that's something that we need to consider, the level of difficulty.
Yeah, and that was it. Thank you.
Perfect timing.
Was it?
Thank
Yeah.
you.